People rejoice for different reasons. I wonder what makes you rejoice.
To live is Christ, to die is gain.
G'day everyone, Brian here. When Paul writes to the church in Philippi, he writes about rejoicing. It's a word that comes up often in the book of Philippians. In fact, it's known as a book of joy, a book of rejoicing. And chapter 4 has some stuff to say about that, but we're a long way from chapter 4. In chapter 1, Paul writes about people who are preaching. Now remember, Paul is in prison at this point, and there are those who are happy that he's in prison, and they're making fun of that in the way that they're preaching. Paul describes them as those who preach out of envy and rivalry. But there's another group who are preaching out of goodwill. They're not stirring up trouble for Paul. They are preaching the gospel of Jesus. They are just pointing people to Jesus. Now, as Paul writes this, he also comments that the important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And that's an encouragement to all of us, particularly to those of us who do preach and occasionally feel like we do it really badly. It's an encouragement for us to know that the important thing is that Christ is preached. Of course, we want to preach well. We want to communicate clearly. But the important thing is that Christ is preached. And then Paul says this: because of this, I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice. And he goes on, for I know that it is through your prayers and the help given by the Spirit of Jesus Christ, what has happened to me will turn out for my deliverance. But let's focus on rejoicing. Let's focus on joy for a moment, because Christianity should be known as a faith of joy and rejoicing. That doesn't take away the reality that many people, and Christians included, deal with depression and deal with the darkness and the lack of joy that brings. Equally, there are Christian people who live lives that are enormously difficult lives. The circumstances of their lives are enormously difficult. But a lot of people don't know that because they carry themselves with real joy. In eulogies, at funerals, we can hear people's life stories and can be left wondering, but I know that person and they seemed so happy, they seemed so content. How is it that this was their lot in life when they seem to be carrying such joy? Well, Paul is in prison, and even there he says, yet I will rejoice, because there is something greater than prison that he focuses on. What makes you rejoice? I hope it's connected to Jesus. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.